you just kind of did whatever. And everybody's saying it's great because they have to, because they want to shill their shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not a Isom is not a $3 million comic. It's not a $10,000 comic.
Anyway, and Isom just murdered a bodyguard, so he's no longer the good guy. No, that's not what the scene actually shows him. He's not an anti-hero because Darren doesn't seem bad. So what is he? You need a save the cat moment. Okay, I don't know where these rules are being made, but whatever. You are a hoe ass nigga if you aren't upfront and honest with your intentions, and then have the audacity to try to present it to the audience. The internet and the commentary culture has unfortunately created this culture really in itself where people think that just because they say something that is against the grain, it is a valid thing that must be taken, that is aimed at the product or person. Again, they're saying the thing about. I'm not sure where that came from. It does seem like a more relatively new phenomenon, because I don't remember this being a thing in the Gap, back in the Gap, where people would insist that you must hear someone out and you must take them for their word simply because they say something that is against the grain. You are going to get people, supposed experts, not experts, folks that have been around the block, others that don't possess that knowledge base, where people are more really, let's say, incentivized to just talk shit publicly, as opposed to, let me just say this. It ain't a whole lot of people that are like in my direct messages or sending me emails like, hey man, I think you could do this better. You don't get those. It's hey, I'm going to make sure that I stream about it type shit, which is cool. People think just because they said it, it's valid. And it's like, no. Some of what you say can be completely invalid. We went through that video yesterday where we went through a comment for you guys that didn't maybe watch that video. It was a guy who wrote this long form post and he couldn't even be bothered. He couldn't even be bothered to get fundamental issues correct or even correct himself. And it goes to show that this guy probably was taking notes like from page 1, right, of the book. And he wasn't going back to say, oh, well, this thing that I was confused on, it got addressed later in the book. He didn't even bother to do that. There's a difference between someone that is legitimately critical and acts in good faith. And there's a difference between that and someone that's acting in bad faith, stirring shit. And they're trying to present that as, it's just my honest criticism. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest with y'all, and I gotta be blunt. Y'all know this is who I am. You are a hoe ass nigga if you aren't upfront and honest with your intentions, and then have the audacity to try to present it to the audience as if it's just, I'm just being honest. Like the person that we were talking about yesterday was talking, there are video evidence of him dogging and talking shit about me before he had even read the damn shit. Talking shit about the book, okay? So for someone to do that and then claim to have read it despite getting basic information incorrect, and then start going on about, well, no, I'm just being honest. I want to, like, be for real, dude. Like, don't, like, that's the whole nigga shit part of it. Like, that's legitimately the whole nigga shit part of it. Because it's like, dude, be for real. You a shit stirrer. That's fine. Own up to it. Don't be no like throwing your hands and then hiding behind the back or so. You know, it's like tapping someone on the opposite shoulder and then turning around and acting like you didn't do shit. Like, come on, bro, be for real. Like, this is what you do, and that's cool. I'm perfectly fine with that, but at least be honest. Don't act like, well, I'm just entering into it in good faith, and I just want to see this person be better. Like, shut the fuck up. We know that's not your intentions, and that's cool. You're coming from a place that is completely different, because I've had people in comic pros, and when I say comic pros, I'm not like saying in the traditional sense. I'm saying people that have been around the block who have been a part of my journey. They seem to understand how to approach people with honesty and be constructive, as opposed to, you suck, this sucks, I'm gonna fake read it, and then I'm gonna talk shit to try to form this opinion, and here's this big ass wall of text of me getting fundamental shit. That's a different thing, man. Just be upfront. Be honest with the situation, bro. Just say, all right, man, I'm here to stir shit. Or at minimum, don't pretend like it's the other way. It's like with me and Marvel Comics, right? I never present it as if I've read the last material, let's say in the last 2 years, outside of a couple of things. And those are the ones that we've covered, where I have like the actual book and I'll go through it. Outside of that, I have been open and honest. I have not read any of that shit. If I am going to critique something, it's generally coming from a space of what information is available to me. And I will critique that specific thing, not in its entirety, because I don't possess the knowledge. It's the same thing with movies and reviews, right? I don't review movies. I don't even watch this shit. So I can't say that, well, with definitively, this movie is this. I can't say that. Like, as far as the general quality of it, because I don't possess the knowledge base, because I didn't watch the shit. I didn't watch it. If you were as accomplished as the people that I have talked about my work with, and you came at me like they did, I'd be more inclined to listen to you. Right? None of you niggas are Chuck Dixon. I'm going to repeat that one more time. None of you niggas are Chuck Dixon. Right? So let me say this. A guy who have talked about my work, a guy that has said, maybe I've thought about going this approach, maybe you should think about going this approach. Who you think I'm going to listen to? Some Buster Baxter looking ass nigga, or I'm going to listen to Chuck Dixon? Seriously, and I'm asking that genuinely. Which one of those guys do I listen to? The roundhead Buster Baxter shit stirrer, or do I listen to one of the most prolific fucking writers of my generation? Which one of those do I listen to? Seriously, who do I listen to? Chuck. Obviously. There's other writers. There's one that we announce tomorrow. Same thing. So I take heed to that, because it's like, okay, well, this person has been around the block. They are entering into it in good faith. So, of course, I'm going to listen to that person. I don't listen to Buster Baxter. Buster Baxter has never offered me anything that is valuable to me. Buster Baxter has not done anything but down talk me publicly. Buster Baxter has been known to be a shit stirrer. Buster Baxter sits here and his colleague has been talking shit about me since before I ever even launched. There's Buster Baxter. There's Chuck Dixon. There's the writer that we announced tomorrow. There's Gabe El-Taib. There's Cliff Richards. There's people that have been around the block who I much rather listen to and take heed to their information. Some of which you'll learn we're now working with. We criticize each other top to bottom. It happens. but it's useful information. And I take that and try to be better. I don't try to be perfect. And I come from the musicianship of it all. So I know that that's a detrimental thing if you're attempting to be perfect. Like, it's like listening to a song that you already recorded and you've already tweaked 7 times and then going back to it. You see, at that point, the song's probably dog shit. You know? So that's me. That's for sure me. I look at it like there's people's stuff that is valuable to me. And this is me encouraging you as also writers and as entertainers. Listen to people that can make you better and be able and learn to decipher between what is legitimate criticism that's helpful and what's useless, concern trolling, or shit stirring. They are not the same thing. And the other part is that you don't have to respond nicely. And this is where I don't get what I don't understand. And it lets me know that a lot of these guys are bitches. Like, straight up, like on some like man shit, like you a bitch. Like, it lets me know that right off the rip, that you think there's something out of pocket for as you be disrespectful to another man and his business, and then he checks your bitch ass, and then you act like he's doing something that's foul. Right? It's like, oh, how could you respond to me? Like, you don't know how to take criticism. How do you respond to me like that? You can't do that, dude. You're essentially telling me that you should be able to tee off on people and nobody check your bitch ass. So that's letting me know, like, IRL, you certainly like on some like, this is why you keep it probably contained to the internet. And that's wise. Like, you're not really interactive. You've never had confrontation that you think there's something foul with you coming at someone and then they giving you the energy that you give them back. Like, if you don't come into it, that shit's trash, you suck, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm just gonna hear you out. No, I'm like, all right, that's your opinion to have. I'm not listening to you. You're the last person I'm trying to listen to. Your information is useless to me. It's just not. You might think it's valuable, and then there might be a follower of you that thinks your information is valuable just because you are you. And that is also fine. But we're not going to skirt beyond the fact you've been talking shit, being disrespectful. Why would I listen to a disrespectful fucking peon? I would not do that. And I wouldn't recommend you do it either. Like, I got motherfuckers talking about the color of trucks. When have you ever, like, nobody does that. Like, this lets me know that people are trying to go through my shit like a fine-tooth fucking comb. When a nigga bitches about the color of a truck, because he doesn't know the difference between maybe a fucking ranch vehicle as well as his own personal vehicle, and the nigga's like, well, those trucks are different colors. I was confused. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever read a Spider-Man comic and was like, well, I remember seeing a truck in the first 2 panels, and now here's another truck on page 60, and they're different. Nobody does that. Nobody. Think about it like this. If there's something that is unanimous, if there's something that the entirety or the majority, not the entirety, that's just never going to happen, but let's just say the majority of the individuals that like legitimately wanted you to succeed and they feel a certain kind of way, that's worth looking into. I don't think that it's best that you try to become a perfectionist and dedicate resources to try to satisfy the desires of that one person when the others had zero issues with it. Like on the comprehension tip, when you're like some of the things that the guy was like the other day, like, we don't know what his farm is. What? Or that, oh, well, this is like a detective. Isom's like a detective. Isom literally says point blank in the book, I'm not a detective. Like, what? Or I don't know who Altona's, who is Avery's sister. Like, that's a comprehension problem. Like, it's a user error. You can't blame me. Everybody else seems to understand it. How can you blame me for that? Skill issue. Yeah, that's what it is. I like that. That's essentially what it is. That's a critique to your critique. Consider it that. You have comprehension problems, and maybe that's where you're coming from. You're coming from a place of where you misplace your ignorance onto like the writer, really. And that's a you problem. That's not me. And like I said, it's not even worth dedicating the resources to try to make that more clear if other people had zero issues understanding the storyline. Like that's the thing. I think what it boils down to, and this applies to me too, just because you're a fucking critic does not make your information valuable. I've been trying to be a perfectionist, like trying and holding the audience's hand, like that's just not my writing style. It'll never be my writing style. There's no fun in that. There's no fun in sitting here writing in a way that you need to know everything about everything in the first book. That's not useful. I feel like definitely the guy that we talked about, we know he's a bad actor. We know he acts in bad faith. That's cool. Even if I thought that he didn't act in bad faith, largely everything on that fucking page was useless to me as a writer. It wasn't useful. This is how you know people act in bad faith, because if you're questioning something that was actually told explicitly to you, you have to go out of your way to somehow miss that information. And often that's what happens. If you go into it with the preconceived notion, you go into it with a certain bias that I'm going to negatively critique this, it's easy for you to miss basic shit because you're trying to find something to be, instead of looking at it objectively, you're looking for something that's wrong. Quote tweeted it and I said, I couldn't have made it more obvious unless I added a push button audio cue that was a recording of my voice explaining it like I'm Dora the Explorer. It couldn't have been clearer than that. You have actual readers, fans, going through some of these criticisms that people think, or not people, bad faith actor thinks that his shit is legitimate just because he said it. I don't like when people attack people who are doing things that they aren't doing. It's disingenuous. Well, yeah, I mean, I totally get that. I guess I have more of an issue with it if you are presenting yourself as if you are a expert in it and your opinion is the gospel and you're unaccomplished. Like, that's the part that I don't understand. It's like, well, it's not that I don't understand. It's like you have to be somewhat self-aware, right? It's like me trying to lecture Michael Jordan on baby fadeaways, right? Like, what? Or which, like, someone trying to critique me coming out of the blocks that has never ran track. I'm just saying you have to have a little bit of self-awareness. You can't be so aggressive coming at someone and being unaccomplished. Someone says, so all of your comic book critiques before the launch of Isom is invalid. No, I just said that. It doesn't mean that it's invalid. But, like, I can't go to, let's say, Dale Keone and tell him how to do fucking art. Even if I was like, which I wouldn't, I think he's one of the greatest artists ever. You know, I couldn't be like, oh, I don't particularly like this, and I can't expect him to listen to me. You have Chuck Dixon attached to the next project. What is he going to say about that? Well, they tried to, as soon as he started working with us, they immediately went to try to demonize him. So that's how it works, right? It's like, which goes to show that they're more angry at people that they don't like or they feel undeserving seeing more success than they'd like them to have. That's really what this boils down to. Isn't that what we've always criticized the mainstream for doing? And that's what another bad actor should understand. Another thing that they should understand. Like, one of our criticisms is that mainstream guys aren't listening. They're making material for non-readers. They're completely ignoring people that are fans of the source material. And that's what these dickheads expect me to do. Buster Baxter expects me to take his opinion as opposed to the fucking 40,000 other people. Why would I do that? I'm not in the business of trying to make normie-centric content. I'm not in the business of trying to make some shit that appeals to each and every individual. That's impossible. I have a target audience. I'm making it for them. And if they enjoy it, really, that's all that matters. For the sake of catering to people that had an issue with it when 40,000 other people didn't have a problem. That's what we've been so critical of the mainstream. And these people expect me to let you. All right, so it's like, hey, all these people that didn't have a problem with it, all these people that like this, all these people that like that, I should value your opinion as a bad faith actor over theirs. Even if you were accomplished, why would I do that? Why? Again, that's what we've been critical of the mainstream for doing. That would be me being a fucking hypocrite. We got a 5 from Eric the Red. Says Buster Baxter's fat sidekick also really, really likes Cuties. Says there's that. There's that. Says, I can't believe that guy didn't understand that Avery choosing to go after Darren for disrespecting him instead of staying on task and looking for Jasmine's is an intentional character flaw. His whole diatribe was complaining about Isom not being perfect. What the fuck? Yeah, I guess, God forbid, Isom isn't a Mary Sue. Oh, he has flaws? He has a little bit of stubbornness to him? It's called flaws. Some characters, and the greatest of them, have them, guys. That's intentional. And he's taking you, that's what the dickhead didn't understand, because he's taking you through his internal dialogue. You remember that part where Isom is discussing, like, I could potentially even make this situation worse. He's going through all that internal dialogue. I'm trying to help you out, dickhead. Best of Baxter, I'm trying. I don't want to do so much as like explicitly state. Like I said, what does he want from me? To have a push button audio cue in my book where you push the button and then I explain anything. I explain everything like you're a fucking toddler. Bad actors, and especially people that are dickheads. And this is the thing. All right, let me also backtrack. So this is what happened. This is the guy that disingenuous fucking losers, dorks, if you will, that tell me and lecture me that I should be listening to, talk shit about it before having ever read it, ask people for a pirated fucking copy, right? Tries to get a pirated copy. I don't even know if the motherfucker actually read it, because if you read the actual write-up, this guy is writing as if he didn't actually read it. He more so got cliff notes from someone because he's missing basic information. And then proceeds to talk shit after that. Yeah, that's the guy I'm supposed to be listening to. Like, come on, guys. Dan says his criticisms are filled with nitpicks and falsehoods. I'm not sure if you read it, but having read it myself, his critique is embarrassing. I'll go through them. 2 weeks ago. Do not start back in time. Nitpick. There's no good reason you can't do this. Second Street Marvel also talked about this with a Captain America book where it's like one took place like it starts where it's like in 1991. I think is like the year that they said that it started with Civil War, right? And it starts in that year. Like I'm not exactly reinventing the wheel. Are we earlier today in the present time or 2 weeks ago? Absurd question, given that what follows is the story of one day in his life. Very true. So obviously early that day. This is what I was explaining yesterday. Someone else can get this with no problem. Most guys can get it. But folks want, because their comprehension is bad and it's not spelled out for them, they think that there's something wrong with like us. And it's like, no, that's a skill issue. He's quoting him, quote, confusing who is the sister and who is Miss Newman. If not for your sister, do it for Miss Newman. It doesn't have the same impact. Absurd. His sister asked him if he remembers Miss Newman's daughter to open the call. Where is some reading comprehension? And he shows the actual picture of exactly that. You remember Jasmine, Miss Newman's daughter. Like, why? How could you possibly get that confused? Like, what? You think she's Miss Newman's daughter, or is she speaking in third fucking person? What sense does that make? Continuing on. Again, this is a quote. He says, now we meet Isom and the internal monologue starts. Probably should have started at the beginning of the book. See, that's not a criticism, right? He says, if you're going to use it, use it. Nitpick, no reason not to start how he did. And again, that's the nitpicky part. Like, and I think that's where the conflation becomes. It's one thing to say you would have wrote it in a different way. That's one argument. Reading comprehension issues. Said again, quoting this nitpicker, says that's a lot of exposition in one page when he meets Darren, but not when we met Isom, which is weird. I think less is more. I'm being told he's the bad guy, but I can't see any evidence of it. What? He has Avery jumped and beaten for asking questions. Did he read it? And he does pick up on some of the stuff, and that's where I start to realize that I don't know if this guy actually read this book and if he's just reading cliff notes. But the guy that he's quoting, like, are we even sure? Because he gets basic stuff sort of wrong. I think it's reasonable to understand why he acted in the way that he acted, right? When you go to see a guy that's an old friend, and then he tells you, he disrespects you by saying basically go work in his fucking kitchen. He then he gets upset with him about the question that he asked, and then tells him to go essentially lie to Jasmine's mother and then gets told to drag the motherfucker out. You can understand why someone wouldn't take so kindly to that sort of reaction, right? And Darren may have his own sort of issues with how he was approached. But you can understand at minimum where the conflict is. It doesn't show him anyone getting killed. Multiple men try to attack Avery and he beats them up. Yeah, he says murdered the bodyguard. I'm guessing he's referring to, and I talked about this in the video yesterday, he's referring to him gut punching, and we see the like x-ray, kind of like what you see with Mortal Kombat. Yeah, he got him good, but didn't kill him. Darren immediately reveals himself to be a piece of shit crime boss. What book did he read? Yeah, and there's some complexities maybe there that maybe get revealed, I don't know, after the first goddamn book. Okay, so Big Except shows up. Excepts are superheroes. Isom says he trained his body, though. So is he an Except or not? He's clearly an Except. Dude says he is about to show don't tell in one breath and then wants the obvious shit to be spelled out for him in the next. And this is why we know that he's a bad faith actor. This is how you know this guy was acting in bad faith and was going into it just trying to criticize everything. Because he, in his notes, he doesn't bother to change any of that shit. And he's still operating as if that stuff isn't revealed. So he's like, I'm confused. But remember later in the book, for you guys that have read it, there's a fucking conversation between Avery and Santuan about being Excepts. So you can't be possibly confused by that unless you're being disingenuous. This is not valid criticism, guys. This is nitpicky and wrong. Like, imagine nitpicking, but also being wrong. Number 11. I wonder what the ranchers at Silman Ranch loading meat into a truck were selling. Probably widgets. What are they selling back in the country? Widgets? This is a problem that plagues this book. What exactly is he doing? Again, it's like, hey, you get introduced to Wayne Enterprises and you expect to know the fucking, who the goddamn accountant is. You expect to know what all business affairs that they're in, right? What deals they've made. You expected to know that after all of that, after the first fucking issue. You expected to know that, or Tony Stark and what he does in his business, what he's supposed to be doing. You're supposed to know that in the first book. Or we just got introduced to Wayne Enterprises, but we don't know all of what they do. Like, who the fuck bitches about that? On the first book. That it says Silman Ranch. You see also, again, to his point, loading meat in the truck. You see when he's talking to one of the younger workers, Sam, that there's cattle right there. I shouldn't have to hold your hand and tell you, obviously, this is some things that are being done on the ranch. It's a ranch! Initial tests that indicate he refers, right, he says, what the fuck was that hospital scene? So no one has any idea if he's an Except and there's a magic bracelet. That's a bit of a double magic scenario. Okay, the guy's an idiot. First of all, it wasn't a magic bracelet. This is what Dan says. He says initial yeah. So it's not a magic bracelet. It's clearly how he was able to ping folks that responded, namely Sam and his sister. How did his sister know where he was at? I shouldn't have to spell all of this out. It's just a fucking, it's like, I think of it like an Apple Watch giving away your GPS. It's not like a magic bracelet, like, and then like you see Altona having the conversation like, there you are. How would she have known where he was? It's not magic, it's just basic tech. Hopefully she got my ping. And then Altona shows up. Like, how much more obvious this is a user error from Buster Baxter, round faced ass. That's a user error from that guy, that he doesn't understand that. When I'm in that case, I spelled it out. I even said it, and you still don't understand. Magic bracelet. Like, it's just a fucking Fitbit, man. It ain't that complicated. Responding to this conversation, he said, how is a Merc more than a strip club, a whorehouse? Isom thinks that the girl might just be Darren's secretary. Well, he's going through the possibilities. So why doesn't he go to the police like normal? This is the point that, it's like, all right, we're really nitpicking. Because it's like, why doesn't Daredevil go to the police? What am I writing this fucking book? If it's going to be that easy, Oh, yeah, just call the police, man. All right, it's a 2-page book. We're done. Altona, so that's it. Altona calls, because that resolves all issues. We're not talking about superheroes. We're not talking about comic books. That resolves all issues, right? Hey, just call the police. Why don't they just call? Like, imagine this, man. This is a guy you want me to take serious? A guy that would dare to say this about a fucking comic book. Why doesn't he just call the police? Why have superheroes at all? They got it all resolved. Just call the police. The book's over. Right? So what? That makes the book what, like 6 pages long? Yeah, it's over. We just have Isom say, hey, call the law. And then Altona says, okay, the end. Isom won. In my opinion, I thought the hospital scene was absolute gold. Was some great writing. Well, appreciate that. So, you're trying to get things, so you start to learn even more about excepts, right? You learn that, well, they don't just have a supreme database with everybody that's an except. You learn that stuff through that dialogue. And like I said, I try to do these types of things. Apparently, Dickhead wants me to sit there and like go through everything and spell it out. Like, again, I'm writing for toddlers. Is this what the modern age of entertainment has become? You say everything and you do everything in the first book. You hold the audience's hand for everything. Like, where did this stuff come from? Someone said in the chat. Frieza shows up to destroy the planet. Goku just calls the police. The end. Dragon Ball Z is over. Resolved. Just call the police. Avery goes back to Darren to ask him questions. Darren responds by having him attack. Avery responds by letting his pride, a character flaw, take over, and he goes back to the club looking for revenge. Jesus. Yeah. He's this is something that the dickhead said. The roundhead guy says, why care about this? Give us a reason to care. Well, I don't know. That's called like, I'm obviously having like long-term storytelling elements involved. You had these two people, these two intriguing characters in Darren's club talking about, so you learn through that conversation, they have motivations of their own. You also learn that the club is not just a regular club. When Michael tells you that, there's no indication that this girl is in danger. This club just seems like a normal club. There are people taking selfies and smiling outside. Hollywood is more dangerous than this at night. It doesn't seem like a bad place. Isom says he has no plan and he doesn't seem to have a goal. No indication beyond she is working for a crime boss. Her mother says she's missing and the crime boss is being tight-lipped about it. Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's not suspicious at all. Like, I shouldn't have to hold your hand through that. Mother is worried about a person that's her fucking daughter. Enough that she goes to the family friends to just try to get some information. And then when Avery looks, instead of just him saying, Darren just being like, well, which I guess I could end the story like that, Dixon. Or dickhead. I guess that was how I was supposed to do it. Just have Darren say, oh, this is exactly what's happening with Jasmine. Oh, the end. If it didn't end with the police, just calling the police, it'll end right there. Oh, here she is. And then Avery just calls the sister back and say, oh, she's okay. He said it was okay. Click. The end. Story. All right. Maybe in that case, the story then goes on to, I don't know, 16 pages. And then this is the awesome thing because, again, he said he's getting fun. This is why it's not legitimate criticism. He gets fundamental things that are explicitly stated wrong. He says Isom has no plan and he doesn't seem to have a goal. And then he just Isom internal dialogue, literally saying that clown talked down to me and that won't go unaddressed. It's almost as if he just gave you a reason why he wants to go back. It's explicitly stated. It's right there in that box if you just read it. And then he goes through the dialogue. He says, Jasmine could be Darren's assistant. She could be doing other kind of work. He's like, maybe it's harmless, but maybe it's not. And then he's, this is, again, character flaw. He says, I'm acting fake concerned. Really, I just want to punch him in his mouth. He's telling you why he wants to go back. Like it's there. Like it ain't even one of those things where I'm just simply showing you. He's talking himself through it. And you get to see that as a reader. You can't have this position that you don't know when he's explicitly telling you. This is a comprehension problem, guys. Another one. He says, so Isom assaults a woman, Jasmine. I guess he thinks he is so he thought I missed this in the original video. So he thought Isom assaulted Jasmine. She doesn't say what the deal is or that she needs help or even for him to go away. You're going to ruin this. Then two guys pull him off of her and he beats them. They acted reasonably. Okay. He calls putting an arm on her shoulder in a caring way during a conversation assault. And he thinks this response didn't justify Avery swinging on the dudes coming up like they're her pimp. What a bizarre take. And Avery sees her. He sees Jasmine. And he puts his just hand on the shoulder. He says, I'm not here to judge you. Just tell me if it's involuntary. That's assault. A good faith, guys. He's arguing in good faith. He's also wrote things. He's also written things. He's just criticizing. He thinks this is assault. This is the guy that we're supposed to be listening to. How on earth could you interpret this panel saying that Isom assaulted Jasmine? You can't possibly be a rational person and think that a person saying this is assault is one, acting in good faith, or two, fucking competent. Just hand on the shoulder. You can see the facial expression it is that he makes. He says, I'm not here to judge. Just tell me if it's involuntary. And then the dude puts his fucking hands on Isom. As he's trying to, he's just asking, hey, is it involuntary? Two dudes, random dudes come up and put their hands on him. And obviously that pissed him off. And the hilarious thing, which I don't think Dan actually had that panel, Avery tells you why he starts whooping ass. The dude puts his hands on Avery. Avery asks, why is putting your hands on someone so aggressively your first instinct? As he's like fucking got him jacked up. Not like Isom just having his hand on her shoulder, trying to see if she's part of something that's involuntary. He gets jacked up and Isom's like, why is this your first instinct to put your fucking hands on me? And so he's like, all right, well, you justify what it is that I'm about to do to you. 18. He tells them to leave and that he won't spare anyone who jumps in. And this was the part where the guy says he enters the club, which consists of normal looking couples. And he threatens the women to leave or else he will beat them. The way you do it is you go in and warn people, then you get attacked, then they leave. Okay, so remember, good faith, right? Good faith. These are just legit criticisms by the dickhead, by Buster Baxter. Just legitimate criticism. You can't handle criticism. This is what he says. He says the way, this is how he's telling, even though this isn't criticism, he's telling me this is how I should do it, or rather how he would do it. He says the way you do it is go in, warn people, then you get attacked. That's exactly what happened. He comes in the club. He says, things don't have to get any more out of hand. Just take me to Darren and I won't ruin your little shindig. He goes in. He doesn't go in like guns a-blazing. He goes in. He tells the ladies, hey, I'm not sparing anybody that jumps in this. He says, I don't even want to fight. Just take me to Darren and I'm good. He walks in the club. He says, ladies, I suggest you take this opportunity to leave. I ain't sparing anybody that's crazy enough to jump into this. He says, things don't have to get any more out of hand. Just take me to Darren and I won't ruin your little shindig. So he goes in. And then the guys start to fucking run at him. This guy swung the first punch and Avery didn't even punch him. He just weaved it. So going back to the Mr. Good Faith, I'm just criticism. It's just honest criticism. He says the way you do it is go in and warn people and then you get attacked. That's exactly what happened. He went in, he warned them. He said, hey, I don't even want to fight. Just take me to Darren. And then he got attacked. So now again, there's no rule that says I had to do it this way. But this shows that the guy is acting in bad faith because, as Dan Cotter says, what he's telling me that I am supposed to do is exactly what happened. It's exactly what happened. You can't say, do it this way. This is how you do it. And then that's exactly what we did. He walked in, didn't want to fight, just said, take me to Darren. Then he gets attacked. You said you go in, warn people, then you get attacked. What the fuck? Seems like everyone has heard of Isom at least. The only people, first of all, Isom doesn't even get mentioned by name as Isom, which would be his hero name, until the end. Cedric's the only person that brings up the fact that he's Isom. Now, he obviously has had previous confrontation with Santuan, but even Santuan's kind of confused in the fact that he's able to do stuff that didn't happen in the previous altercation. So it's not that everybody knows him. That's not what happened. He said, and this is a funny part. We talked about this yesterday. He says he jumps off the wall and destroys a brick. That is not something a normal person could do. Batman cannot do that. Oh. Splitting the atom, guys. We're splitting the atom here. We split the atom. He's figured it out. Oh, Batman can't do that. Batman can't just slide into somebody. Oh my God. It's almost as if he has powers. He has powers, guys. Batman can't do it. Oh, you think? Herder, son of a bitch. Did I break this chair? I think I did. I think I broke the chair. Anyway, he says he doesn't understand the mechanics of a fight. And then he's like, oh, wow, he does something that's basically superhuman. And then he's confused by that. Maybe they are sending their best, and the best are just retarded. It says Isom was the first comic I ever read and never skipped a beat. The plot was extremely legible. Oh, what a clown. Yeah. And like I said, for those that were like, this is not what this is about. I know people that like to act like there's no difference between someone talking shit and being dishonest, or worse, like this guy did, saying completely wrongful information. They act like that's the same as them not liking it. If you're like genuine and you're like, hey, it wasn't my thing. Okay. Never have you seen me jump down someone's throat just because they said it wasn't their thing. I'm like, all right, bro, like that's a different thing from saying, well, here's something that happened, that should have happened. And then I say, well, it did happen. It's right here. And that's the thing that gets me. These idiots will say wrongful information, and then I, or a Rippaverse fan, will correct them, and then they take that as, well, yeah, y'all can't handle criticism. Like, oh my God, y'all can't handle criticism. It's basically saying, this is what you're telling me. You are a punk bitch that is afraid to be confronted when saying wrongful information. That's what it is. You a pussy. You want to throw your hands and hide them behind your back, and God forbid someone actually confronts you. That's as bitch made as it get. Like me, at least I stand on what I say. If I say something, even if it's fucked up, you want to address it, bet. I'm all for it. I'm not gonna pretend I didn't say the shit. Or say, oh, how dare you respond to little old me? How could you? Why so mad? Like, nigga, shut the fuck up, man. Like, ain't nobody. You just a bitch, and you want to be able to throw your hands, and then some. It's like going to punch somebody, and they are not. You punched them, they ate the punch, and then they knocked your bitch ass out, and then you got mad. How about just don't go swinging on people if you don't want to get swung back on? It's reciprocity, bro. It's kind of a rule the golden rule. What does it say? Do on the others? It's about as universal as humankind has been around. Really something very, very simple. You can have your opinions. That's cool. But consider it this. Consider it a critique of your critique. How about this? Your critique was dog shit, and I'm just critiquing your critique. That's it. Everything's fair game when I just say it's criticism, right? So you can't take credit. If you mad that I'm responding to your response or whatever, or whatever fucking, yo dog, I heard you like responses, however you want to do it, right? Consider it that Maybe you can't handle criticism. Consider it, I'm critiquing your critique. We got a critiqueception going on. Someone says in the chat, you're spending a lot more time on this guy than he spent on you. Okay, this guy's been talking shit for weeks, did a whole stream on me, right? And I'm the one spending more time. Actually was nipping at the ankles for fucking, and then you got a co-host that had been nipping at my ankles for the entire year, and you got there to say, I'm spending more time. I don't do video, like I'm the response agency. That's the whole shit that I be talking about right there. That's a problem. What's his name? Unfortunately, I'm not on StreamYard, so I can't fucking like highlight it. But that's the whole shit I'm talking about, where it's like, people treat the responding agency like they're the problem. Like you initiate a conflict, you talk all this noise, and then, God forbid, I'm like, all right, what's up? Then you like, well, yeah, you being dramatic there, guy. Like, come on, man, stop being pussy. Have y'all ever been in a confrontation in your life? Like, serious? Or is it just like and shit on the internet? Have you ever been in any confrontation in your entire life? Or is it just you do bitch shit, you talk behind people's back, and then go start pissing yourself when they find out and address you? Like, come on, bro. I'm the responding agency. That's what gets me about this. Like, dude, I don't like y'all. I don't know y'all like that. I don't know y'all to like not like y'all. Like, I don't like y'all like that because I don't know you. Y'all talk about me. I'm just a responding agency. If I have no reason to acknowledge your crackhead ass existence, if you just shut the fuck up, but don't go initiating problems and then crying foul. Don't do that shit. That's pussy. That's like high key. That is fucking pussy. That's as pussy as it gets. And by the way, and I'm going to say this again, as I said every year that we do this, the way that I'm talked about by certain crack smokers on the internet, you think I couldn't appear anywhere publicly without someone trying to come and get shit addressed. We got Dallas Fan Expo next week or 2 weeks, right? We got the meetup. I better be feeling some energy when I'm pulling up there, okay? I better be feeling some energy. If not, we all know that y'all fronting for an audience on the internet. Because the fact that people ain't pulling up, I don't understand that. I'm giving y'all where I'm at, not hiding behind a fucking microphone and a camera. Like, I'm giving you where I'm at. Let's hash it out. Let's talk about it. Let's be men. Let's do confrontation. But ain't none of that energy. I'm going around, it's all love and daps. Everybody want to dap, but I'm cool. I'm taking pictures, all everything good. Boy, I open my Twitter, you got motherfuckers calling me all kinds of shit. Shit, I ain't even know what it is. Sometimes I gotta Google what the fuck this shit is. Like, what the fuck is that? Just pull up. Let's talk. Pull up. Instead of hiding behind these fucking podcasts and fucking doing videos and shit. Doing videos and all that shit, and then not having a nutsack to just be like honest about who it is you are. You're a shit stirrer. That's fine. That's perfectly fine with me. You're a shit stirrer, but let's be honest. Let's not try to take the angle where you being a shit stirrer is somehow good faith acting. It's not. You can't be both. That's cool. You're inflammatory. I'm okay with that type of guy. That's not me. But if you're gonna be purposefully inflammatory, talk noise, don't then cry and say, "Well, I'm just being the honest criticism." Like, no, it's not. It's shit stirring, and just be who it is that you are. So and so criticize your comment just so you know that both defended terrible people and cuties as well. Okay, well, doesn't surprise me that bad faith actors have weird takes. You be going to Anime Matsuri again this year? Potentially. I haven't got confirmation, but potentially. That's another place people can pull up. Yellow Flash, my man's of the tens. He said they people trashing have never read comics. I do, and your book was fine. Art was great, and the story was fun. That's what comic fans are looking for. Looking forward to the next one, says Yellow Flash. Hey, man, I appreciate that. Don't bother showing any more of the comic rip of these bad faith actors should have to prove they read it. I don't disagree with that. Yeah, man, I reciprocate, man. That's my position. Like, I give you the energy you give at me. If you come at me with respect, even if it's in a negative connotation, if it's respectful, I'm good. If it's disrespect, then I'm gonna match you. And you can't be pussy and get upset because I match your disrespect. Because you're the initiating party. You have to have enough gonads to understand that you can't just tee off on people like that. So if you come at people with disrespect, this isn't just for me, that's for anybody. You can't be upset that someone else came at you, if you come individually at them, like we're not talking like in a vague sense. I'm talking like you're talking about someone specific and you come at them with disrespect. If they match your disrespect, you got what you fucking deserve. Not everybody's information is valuable. Most of it's useless, actually. And like I said, I don't know if Buster Baxter over there thinks that his opinion is more. Or let me say this. Like I said earlier, some people missed that because it was early on. When I got people like Chuck Dixon, who we do talk about with the work and stuff, if I have someone like that in my corner, if you are not even remotely as accomplished as him, what incentive do I have to listen to you? Buster Baxter, Chuck Dixon. You see what I'm saying? Like, which one of those guys do I listen to when they say, hey, consider this and consider that? The City Boy says, so what is the premise of your comic because it's vague and missing critical components of storytelling? Your comment's very vague, so can you give me a specific? We have, all right, yeah, XRD, I guess you're stopped now. He says, the comic seems to largely decompressed, opening tons of questions, but not any answers, not even vague answers that give you info. I need specifics. Like that's not helpful. I would love to answer, like try to get like, what, is there a specific thing that you can point to that you're like, I needed an answer to and I didn't get it? Like I said, this is what I was saying earlier, man. Some information is useful, others is not, and you just kind of got to roll with the punches. Like, I listen to people and feedback from genuine people, genuine customers, genuine people in the industry, and not concerned trollers, bad faith actors, and such. That's just that, and I'll never apologize for that, actually.